A man walks into a hospital expecting ordinary test results. He sits quietly in the waiting room until the doctor finally calls his name. Minutes later, he sits across from the doctor. The doctor opens the medical file. Then the doctor quietly says, "We've done all the tests." He waits for the good news, but it never comes. Instead, the doctor explains that the results are serious. The man's smile slowly disappears. The room suddenly feels silent. No shouting, just a few calm words. That completely changed one person's life. For the man, time suddenly feels completely different. What actually happens when someone realizes they may not have much time left? Does life flash before their eyes? Do they panic? Do they become fearless? Or does something even stranger happen? For the first time in his life, he realizes life doesn't come with unlimited tomorrows. So, what actually happens inside someone's mind when they realize they might not have as much time as they once believed? The man slowly walks out of the hospital. He doesn't know where to go, so he simply starts walking. People brush past him without noticing. A businessman rushes to catch a bus. A teenager laughs while watching videos on a phone. A street musician keeps playing his guitar. Everything looks ordinary, yet everything feels completely different. For years, he believed tomorrow would always arrive. Tomorrow was where he stored his dreams. I'll travel later. I'll spend more time with my family later. I'll finally start that project later. Now, that word feels much smaller. He looks at his watch. For the first time, every second seems important. Walking outside feels almost surreal. The sun still shines. Children still play. Someone laughs at a joke. A couple argues over something that probably won't matter tomorrow. Nothing has changed, except one thing: your perspective. You begin noticing details that were always there. The sound of birds, the warmth of sunlight, the smell of rain, the smile of a stranger. Things your busy mind filtered out for years suddenly demand your attention. Not because they've changed, but because you have. The little things no longer seem so little. Then comes one of the hardest questions. Where did all the time go? You remember weekends spent saying, "I'll rest later." Vacations you postponed. Conversations you delayed. Dreams placed on a shelf labeled someday. You realize something surprising. Life rarely disappears all at once. It often slips away in tiny pieces. 5 minutes scrolling, another hour worrying, another year waiting for the perfect moment. The calendar was always moving. You just didn't notice. The man asks himself something he had avoided for years. If my time's limited, what truly matters? Money? It helps, but it cannot buy yesterday. Fame? People eventually forget famous names. Success? It feels wonderful, but it cannot replace the people you love. He finally understands something. Time is the only thing every person spends, without knowing how much they have left. Days begin to pass. The man starts making different choices. He calls old friends. He visits his parents. He watches sunsets without checking his phone. He laughs more. He worries less. He begins finishing things he once postponed. Not because he knows exactly how much time remains, but because he finally understands its value. Something unexpected happens. The fear slowly becomes quieter. Not because every problem disappears, because gratitude becomes louder. Here's the strange part. The doctor never told him the exact day his life would end, because nobody truly knows that. The difference is, most people live as if tomorrow has already been promised, but it never was. Maybe that's why we postpone dreams, delay apologies, ignore the people we love. We quietly believe there will always be another chance. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. The man looks up at the evening sky, the same sky he had ignored thousands of times before. He smiles. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because he finally understood something most people spend their entire lives missing. Life isn't precious because it lasts forever. Life is precious because it doesn't. So perhaps the real question isn't, what happens when you realize you are about to die? Maybe the better question is, what are you going to do with the time you still have? Because the answer to that question begins today. If this story made you see life differently, subscribe for more stories that reveal the hidden side of history, humanity, and the moments that shape us.